What is up, guys? It's Mega giving you another deck for Link Evolution. New update, guys. Master 5. You know it. It's going to be a new deck. This deck is, of course, a Red Eyes deck. Continue the trio done. Dark Magician, Blue Eyes. Gotta do Red Eyes next, aren't you? Could complete the original trio. This deck's, of course, my own opinion at the end of the day, and it's completely cool if you guys disagree with any of the cards that I showed in this video. Please bear in mind that Red Eyes Darkness Metal Dragon is actually banned in this game, and Dragoon with Red Eyes isn't actually in the game. So of course we've got to change a few things around. So yeah, there has been a few limitations, but this deck is, of course, in my opinion, not a bad one. It's obviously not as strong in my opinion, in my honest opinion, as Blue Eyes, but of course Red Eyes is about potential. It's about manipulate, like you got to actually play smart, and that's what I reckon we've done. If you're struggling to make this deck or any deck shown so far, I highly recommend you check out the card hub. Not only does it tell you if a card is in this game, it will tell you where to find it, such as a challenge mode, campaign, or deck card pack. It will tell you exactly where it is. That includes the new cards that was introduced in the new update. That is in the description down below, along with my Twitch, where I do try and stream as much as I can on this game, where we just chill, play Yu-Gi-Oh, make some decks. And with that, guys, let's get to the video. Starting us off, guys, is the 3 copies of the Red Eyes Black Dragon. You know it, the Dragon of Potential. 3 copies of this bad boy. You go through them like there's no tomorrow. I think actually you go through this actually quicker than you do Dark Magicians, and of course the Blue Eyes standard, guys. Red Eyes Black Dragon. A lot of cards in our deck revolve around this card. Staple 3. We are, of course, running another vanilla monster, and that is, of course, the Summon Skull. This, along with 2 other cards, are kind of like 3 bricks in the deck. You treat them like a Garnet, as you would. If you don't know what Garnets is, pretty much when you played Brilliant Fusion, you didn't want to see Gem Knight Garnet, so obviously these have now become a Garnet. You don't want to draw into them. You just want them to be in the graveyard, sorry, in the deck, so you can play Red Eyes Fusion and just send them to the graveyard, so you can obviously fusion summon. 3 copies of Black Metal Dragon. This bad boy is pretty much a searcher for the entire deck. You can target 1 Red Eyes monster you control, equip it to it from your hand or field, and it gains 600 attack, which is nice. Makes any of your Red Eyes, at least makes your Red Eyes Black Dragon the same as the Blue Eyes, and also you can equip it to your fusions as well. And if this card is sent from the field to the graveyard, you can add any Red Eyes card from your deck to your hand. That includes the spells and traps, because obviously they have Red Eyes in their name. You can link summon away this card. That's why we run Link Karibo and other links, so you can play its effect more often. 1 copy of Dragon Buster Destruction Sword. You can play this card with Union Carrier, guys. You equip it to your monster because of Union Carrier. It prevents your opponent from summoning monsters from the extra deck, which is just broken. So literally, you literally just go into Union Carrier, choose any one of your monsters, play this, boom, or any of your dragons, I should say, boom. Your opponent can no longer summon from the extra deck. It's like Artifact Scythe, but 24/7. And that's the only reason you use this card. You don't really use it for any other effect, really, because you can't really. 1 Gear Free, the Red Eyes Iron Knight, and of course the Meteor Dragon Red Eyes Impact. These are the other 2 Garnets that you play with Summon Skull, so you can obviously choose, so you can play your fusions. You don't have to run these if you don't want to. I'm running them because I have one of each of the Red Eyes fusions in the deck, in the extra deck. So of course there is that. With Gear Freed, if you once per turn, if I play an equip card to this card, you can destroy that. So if you have Gear Freed and you have the Black Metal Dragon, you can equip it to Gear Freed. Gear Freed's effect will destroy it, and then of course, because it's gone from the field to the grave, you get to search a card. And also you can send 1 equip card you control this that is equipped to this card to the grave, and you can target a level 7 or below Red Eyes in your grave, special summon it. So if you do have a Red Eyes, Gear Freed can resurrect it. And then of course the Meteor Black Impact. I never summoned this card, guys, at all. The only time I ever use this card is because of obviously Red Eyes Fusion, and apart from that I really don't use this. Pretty much a Gemini. If you want to play its effect, other Red Eyes monsters you control cannot be destroyed by battle or by card effects. It does have some protection, but you're never going to really play its effect. And then 2 copies of Red Eyes Alternative Black Dragon. This is kind of different to the Blue Eyes one, because Blue Eyes, you just reveal the Blue Eyes in your hand and special summon it. This one, you have to tribute any Red Eyes monster. That's right. Anyone that says tribute one Red Eyes monster. Can be Gearfried, can be Impact Dragon. You see what I mean? As long as it has Red Eyes in its name, you can tribute it. So what this guy does, if it's destroyed by battle or if it's destroyed in its owner's possession by a card effect, you can target one level 7 or below Red Eyes monster, special summon it, and if that monster original name was Red Eyes Black Dragon, its attack points is doubled. So you have Red Eyes in the so say your opening hand is Red Eyes Black Dragon and Red Eyes Alternative. You contribute the Red Eyes from your hand, special summon the alternative. If it goes to the graveyard, you can pretty much bring back a Red Eyes Black Dragon with 4,800 attack, which is kind of OP if you have a certain magic card called Infernal Fire Blast in your hand. We're running one Rocket Synchron, guys. Its effect is you can target, so when it's normal summons, you can target a level 5 or higher Dark monster. Red Eyes is obviously a level 7 Dark monster, so obviously it fits the category. Its effect's negated. What do you care? It's a vanilla monster. And the reason why I run this, guys, is because this one card equals Borrelload Savage Dragon, and also we run another Synchro as well. But if you haven't got into a Link play yet and you have this card in hand, it does actually make it nice to go into your Synchro or to go into Links, because of course it is an effect monster, which means you can go into Verte Alaconda with it. Then 3 copies of Tenki Spirit, is it Vishuda? I think that's what it's called. This guy is literally a free summon. If you control no effect monsters, especially summon this card from your hand. So if you're going to have effect monsters in your hand, like say for instance you've got this and the Black Stone of Legend, you can summon Trishduda first, because obviously you don't have any effect monsters, you can summon it. Then you can play your effect monsters, and then you'll be fine. This card also has another effect that can activate from the hand or in the graveyard, where if you do control a face-up non-effect monster, basically a Red Eyes, you can target one card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. That's a pretty powerful effect, because bear in mind you can activate this from the graveyard. So if you Exceed Summon, Link Summon with this card, and you put it in the graveyard, you can always use its effect, and that is so pretty good. And then 2 copies of Black Stone of Legends. You can tribute some of this guys to special summon a Red Eyes or a level 7 or lower Red Eyes monster from your deck. Kind of good. And also it does have a graveyard effect where you can target one level 7 or below Red Eyes in your grave, shuffle it into the deck, and if you do, you get to add this card to your hand. That's kind of a decent effect. The reason why we run this card is because mainly of it's a graveyard effect, because you can obviously you have a lot of cards that just send Red Eyes to the grave. If you've got them in your hand, for instance, if you've got like the draw 2 cards one, at least then you can send Red Eyes Incense, I should say. At least then you can still play Incense effect. And also, because it's a level 1, it's kind of good for Link Rebo and its effect, so you can go into Verte Alaconda with it. That's it for the monsters, guys. Going into the spells, we're running 2 Allure of Darkness. It's limited to 2, guys. You can't have 3. Otherwise, I think I'd kind of ump it to 3. But I'm actually kind of liking it with 2. You can always run the 7 Sacred Swords. Bloody hell, that's a mouthful. To kind of counteract it. It only works on level 7 monsters, though, so that's kind of the downside. But you don't really have to run the Sacred Swords. You can run something else if you want, like Upstart Goblin, whatever. I just run that instead. You get it. Basically, you just draw 2. You just draw 2 cards. 3 copies of Caught by the Grave. Shuts down any of your opponent's hand traps, and also if they try to resurrect a monster from the grave, you can just banish it instead, so that way it's kind of useless. But yeah, the Caught by the Grave, pretty good. If your opponent tries to ash you, especially during when you're playing like Red Eyes Incense, or when you're trying to like send like the Black Metal Dragon to the grave, that's the worst thing you want to do. So obviously you just Caught by the Grave negates the hand traps. And then cards of Redstone, another draw power, guys. You send 1 Red Eyes monster from your hand to the graveyard, draw 2 cards. Then you can send a Red Eyes monster from your deck to the graveyard. So just this one card lets you go +1 in card economy and sends a card to the graveyard. So that's a very good magic card. The only downside, it only works on a level 7 Red Eyes monster. So we do have 5 targets for this card, but that's why we're only running it 1, because Allure of Darkness is kind of bad because it works on any one of our dragons, really. 1 copy of Infernal Fire Blast. You could run 2 of this, guys, if you want to take out a card like take out Caught by the Grave or the Sacred Swords. This kind of can be a break if you don't have a Red Eyes monster in play. And what it does, guys, you can target one Red Eyes Black Dragon in your that you control. Inflict damage to your opponent equal to its original attack. However, Red Eyes Black Dragons cannot attack on the turn you activate this effect, so please bear in mind in that. But a nice opening hand is if you have the Red Eyes Fusion, Infernal Fire Blast, you just go into Comet Dragon. That burns your opponent. You play Infernal Fire Blast. You burn your opponent for another 3,500. Boom! In just one turn, you've dealt 4,700 points of damage to your opponent, and that's in turn 1. That's before anything else happens. So yeah, broken. One copy of Monster Reborn combat extender. We can basically just go into bigger plays, go into synchros, go into Exceeders, or go into links, depending on what your board is. 1-for-1. You send a monster from your hand to the grave. Realistically, like I say, you want to send like a Red Eyes or something like that to the graveyard, because then Return of the Dragon Lords or whatever is set up. And then obviously you want to special summon the Black Metal Dragon, or you want to summon the Black Stone of Legends. It's kind of up to you. I would personally, I would send the Black Metal Dragon, because then you could link it away to a Link Karibo, and then you can go in. Then obviously its effect will activate, letting you search a card. 2 copies of Red Eyes Fusion. You can fusion summon one monster that you can fusion summon a monster from next deck that has the words Red Eyes as a fusion material, and its name becomes Red Eyes Black Dragon. This is what I mean. Infernal Fire Blast makes whatever monster you summon with this card become Red Eyes Black Dragon. That means Infernal Fire Blast will work on that card. You cannot normal special summon card monsters after you activate this. After you activated this card. But there is kind of a work around it, and that is with Verte Anaconda. We'll get into that when we get to Anaconda, but you can do a workaround with Red Eyes Fusion. You don't want to play free, because I say it does lock you out of normal summoning if you play this normally. It's kind of good if you're going to do that for turn 1, because at least then you can play a monster, do some burn damage, and you can just kind of like pass, because you can't really do much on turn 1. You can't attack. 3 copies of Red Eyes Incense, one of the best cards in the whole deck. This one card, you send a Red Eyes monster from your hand or deck to the graveyard, so it sets up the graveyard beautifully, and you can add a Red Eyes spell or trap from your deck to your hand. So not only can you send a card from your deck to the grave, you can also search out a spell or trap you want. So it does search out the Red Eyes Fusion if you want to go into a fusion play. It does search out a trap card. Unfortunately, it doesn't search out Infernal Fire Blast because it's not classed as a Red Eyes card, unfortunately. But yeah, it does set up the graveyard beautifully, and you can search out whichever card you want. 3 copies of Return of the Dragon Lords. Target 1 level 7 or higher dragon in your graveyard, special summon it. It does work, obviously, 6 it's level 8. You can play Borrow Savage Dragon, but it's mainly good for your Red Eyes, just like another Monster Reborn. We're pretty much running 3 Monster Reborns. You can banish this card from your graveyard. Any one of your dragons that would be destroyed by battle by card effect, you can banish this card instead and prevent your monster from being destroyed. So it gives them some protection, which is pretty nice. And then I say I'm running one Sacred Sword of 7 stars. I hate when there's like tongue twisters. You get to banish 1 level 7 monster from your hand or face up on the field. Draw 2 cards. Kind of like a Allure of Darkness, because obviously it banishes. You can only use it on the Red Eyes alternative or the Red Eyes Black Dragon. Obviously, you can have it on the field as well. It doesn't have to be in your hand if you need to draw them cards. And then 1 copy of Super Polymerization. A lot of our, there's a few dragons. I think it's like we're running Starving Venom, we're running Red Eyes Slash Dragon, and then of course we have Borrow Furious Dragon. You can kind of manipulate your opponent's monsters because of those, because of Super Poly. You're not really going to use that a lot of the time, apart from like Starving Venom. But all of our monsters kind of do meet the requirements, so you can even play Super Poly during your turn, fusion summon monsters you have to get an extra attack off. That's it for the spells. Going on to the traps, guys. We are running 2 copies of Red Eyes Fang with Chain. Very nice little trap, guys. You can target 1 Red Eyes monster you control, any Red Eyes monster. That's kind of fantastic. You can equip it to this card. It can make 2 attacks on monsters during each battle phase, which is kind of niche. And also, you can send this equip card to the graveyard. Target 1 effect monster your opponent controls. Equip it to the monster this card was equipped to. And also your monster's attack and defense become whatever the monster you just took control of. So say for instance, your opponent's got a full board on field. Red Eyes Fang with Chain lets you attack twice, get over 2 of them. Then you literally just send it to the grave, take control of whatever like big monster or like most threatening monster that they had. Just equip it to your Red Eyes. Red Eyes attack will become it. So say for instance, I don't know, they have Red Eye. So they have Blue Eyes Alternative. Blue Eyes Alternative is an effect monster. You just take control of that. You just take control of it. That way your Red Eyes Black Dragon would be up to 3,000 attack points. Just all of that. Red Eyes Fang with Chain. Not a bad trap. And then we're running 1 Return of the Red Eyes. It's a constant monster reborn for your for your Red Eyes monsters. You can kind of class it as a Red Eyes Black Chick, really. But yeah, no, sorry, Red Eyes Black Chick has Called by the Grave. But yeah, Call of the Haunted, sorry, but for Red Eyes monsters. You can only play its effect if you control a Red Eyes monster. Please bear that in mind. Then you just resurrect a Red Eyes Black Dragon from the grave. So yeah, and you can do it, and you can do this during your opponent's turn as well. You can do it during your opponent's turn, one during yours. So you go into like rank 7 plays. That's it for the deck, guys. Going on to the extra deck, we're running 1 Archfiend Black Skull Dragon. You have to use this with the Summon Skull. This card, guys, is like if this card battles your opponent's monster, if this card's battles, your opponent cannot activate card or effects until the end of the damage step. Kind of like what the Ancient Gears are all about, which is kind of nice. It means your opponent cannot play stuff when you go for an attack. And also, if damage calculation is performed, you can target a Red Eyes normal monster in your grave, basically a Red Eyes Black Dragon. Inflict damage to your opponent equal to its attack and return it to the deck. So, because you're going to play Red Eyes Fusion, you're going to summon out this bad boy. It deals damage to your opponent, even if it deals something like 100 or could deal 1,000. We don't know what it's going to deal. You just shuffle your Red Eyes back in deck, burn your opponent for another 2,400 points of damage, and you get your Red Eyes back into the graveyard. 1 copy of Borrowed Furious Dragon. You need 2 dark monsters to summon this bad boy. You're gonna have a dark dragon on the field anyway. So if your opponent is running any dark dragons, you can play Super Poly and steal one of their monsters. Obviously, if you've got 2 dark dragons yourself, you can obviously summon this guy yourself. It has a quick effect where you can target 1 monster your opponent controls and 1 monster you control and 1 card your opponent controls. Destroy them both, so that's kind of good, so you can get around your opponent. And also, if you destroyed the black metal dragon, you get to search. You can banish this card from your graveyard to target 1 dark link monster in our grave, special summon it. I think the only one we would have would be Verte. Actually, no, we don't actually have any, so you can't play that effect anyway. You can just basically use it as a quick play to disrupt your opponent, but you're just there to just play the Super Poly to get rid of your opponent's resources. You've got Meteor Black Comet Dragon. This is a level you need a Red Eyes monster plus 1 level 6 Dragon type monster, but because it's specific level 6, you're not really going to play Super Poly to play this card. You're going to play the Red Eyes Fusion. That's why you need the Meteor Red Eyes monster. If this card is fusion summoned, you can send a Red Eyes monster from your hand or deck to the grave. Absolute fantastic. And also, if you do, you inflict damage to your opponent equal to half that monster's original attack. So you fusion summon with this, you've got Red Eyes Black Dragon and you've got the Comet Dragon in the graveyard. You can then send another Red Eyes to the grave, so now you've got 2 Red Eyes already set up in the graveyard, and you deal 1,200 points of damage to your opponent. And if this card is sent from the monster zone to the graveyard, doesn't matter how, you can link summon it away, you can summon it away, you know what I mean? You can do anything away with it as long as it goes from the monster zone to the graveyard. You can target a Red Eyes in your grave and special summon it. Pretty good as well. And so if you have this Infernal Fire Blast turn 1, you're going to deal over 4,000 points of damage to your opponent. I think it's 4,700, which is a lot considering that's turn 1. And 1 copy of Red Eyes Slash Dragon. This is Red Eyes Black Dragon plus a Warrior. Warriors are kind of common in the game, so Super Poly works well with Slash Dragon. And when a Red Eyes monster declares an attack, you can target 1 Warrior in your graveyard, equip it to Slash Dragon. Slash Dragon gains 200 attack points for each one. When a card or effect is activated that targets a card you control, you can send one equip spell to the graveyard, negate the activation if you destroy it. And if this card is destroyed by battle or by card effects, you can special summon as many monsters from the graveyard as possible that were equipped to this card. So that was a bit of a mouthful. So really the only warrior we have is the Gearfried. You can't obviously send that to the graveyard. Like, it's set up so easy because obviously it's a red ice monster. You can send a lot of red ice monsters to the graveyard, like with Incense or with the Comet Dragon. So yeah, this card you can really easily set up that and just abuse your opponent's monsters synchro to fusion summon. Or if you do it legit with the red ice fusion, attack with this card, you get a free negate on board because obviously you can just equip the Gearfried you use as fusion material. Then one copy of Starving Venom Fusion Dragon, one of the best dragons ever in the game, guys. You need any two dark monsters, so if your opponent's running any dark, you can steal it to summon Starving Venom. If this card is fusion summoned, you can target one special monster your opponent controls. Starving Venom will gain that monster's attack, and also if your opponent has a level 5 or higher monster in play, Starving Venom will steal its name and effect, which is kind of a very dangerous effect for Starving Venom. And also, should Starving Venom go to the graveyard, you can destroy all special monsters your opponent controls, so that's kind of good. Going on to the Synchros, we've got one Borrowload Savage Dragon, and with this card as Synchro summoned, you can target one Link monster from your grave, equip it to Savage Dragon, and it will get a counter for each one. When your opponent basically plays a card or effect, you can remove a counter, negate it, and so that's kind of good. Gives you another negate. You do have to link summon first, guys. If you don't have a link monster in play, I recommend not summoning Borrowload Savage Dragon. I would recommend going into the other into the other Synchro. But yeah, do not be afraid to link summon because then you can set up Savage Dragon. One copy of Draco Berserker of the Tenji. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you can banish it. It doesn't negate, so the monster's effect will still go through, but you can negate the monster effect. But you can banish the monster itself. If this attacking monster destroys opponent's effect monster by battle and sends it to the grave, it gains that monster's attack and also can attack again, and it does not lose the monster's attack, guys. So you attack, I don't know, Nightmare Unicorn. This card's going to gain 2200 attack, so that would be up to 5200. It can attack again, and then if you pass or end your turn, it's still going to be 5200. So absolute beat stick this bad boy. Caesar's Big Eye, one of the best generic level 7s there is. We're running level 7s. You're going to run Big Eye. You detach one Exceeds material, guys. Target one card your opponent or one monster your opponent controls. Take control of it. Can even be on set monsters if you want to go for the direct attack. If they're just like setting and passing. Big Eye cannot attack on the turn you activate its effect, but when you've got like a big boss monster beside Big Eye, you're going to go big. 2 copies of Red Eye's Flare Metal. Because we actually run Red Eyes, you can actually play this guy's legit effect, guys. This card cannot be destroyed by card effects while it has an overlay unit, so please don't try and give it an overlay unit for some protection. Each time your opponent activates a card or effect, you can inflict 500 points of damage to your opponent. So say you had 2 of these bad boys in play, which is actually very easy to do. You can actually deal out 1000 points of damage whenever your opponent activates a card effect. So because you're inflicting 500 points of damage all the time, your opponent is kind of like on a timer. They have to get rid of this card obviously quick, but they can't burn the life points too much because obviously then if they're going to lose eventually. And also if you've already burnt them with like Infernal Fire Blast and your Comet Dragon, they're going to be like very low on life points anyway. Like for instance, if you did the combo with like Infernal Fire Blast and your Comet, they're only going to be activating 7 cards before they lose to Infernal to Flare Metal Dragon. And also has an effect, guys, where once per turn, during either player's turn, you can use one overlay unit, then target one Red Eyes normal monster in your grave, special summon it. You have to have a Red Eyes normal in the graveyard to trigger this card's effect, so please be wary if you're using Return of the Red Eyes with this card. Then going on to the links, we have one Blackluster Soldier, Soldier of Chaos. Pretty good boss monster, using level 7 or higher. If you use a level 7 or higher monster's material, your opponent cannot target or destroy this card with card effects. That's kind of great. That gives it some protection. And when this card destroys the opponent's monster by battle, you can activate one of the following effects. It gains 1500 attack. It can make a second attack during the battle phase, and also you can banish one card your opponent controls. You can only activate one of them, you can't activate all of them, but you can activate one of those effects, which is pretty niche on a big boss monster. Obviously, you can tribute your red eyes and stuff. You don't particularly care because of red eyes, because of Return of the Red Eyes. You can just bring your cards back. One copy of Cross Sheep. Reason why I'm running Cross Sheep is because, as you see, guys, we are running Fusion, Synchro, and Exceeds. That means you can pretty much get off 3 of these cards' effects, which is if you Fusion summon, you can special summon 1 level 4 or lower monster in your graveyard. It's kind of great. If you Exceeds, all monsters your opponent controls do 700 attack. And I don't think it has, and if it's Synchro, all monsters, and then if you Synchro, all monsters you gain, you control gain 700 attack. Sorry, I kind of got, sorry, that kind of all blurred in for a second then. So yeah, Cross Sheep, not a bad one. One copy of Link Karibo. The reason why I'm running Link Karibo is because, again, like I say, with the Black Metal Dragon, if your only hand is all spells and traps are then just 1 Black Metal Dragon, at least then you can summon the Black Metal Dragon, link array into Link Karibo, and you can still do a play, because obviously then you can search out like the Red Eyes Incense or something, and you could set up your graveyard. At least then you could do something with the Black Metal Dragon. One copy of Predaplant, Verte, Anaconda. One of the best links in my opinion. If Dragoon with Red Eyes, this card would be in every single deck because Dragoon with Red Eyes is just a broken card to begin with. What this guy does is you can pay 2,000 life points, send 1 fusion or polymerization from your deck to the graveyard, and basically activate the spell. What Verte Anaconda would do is send a Red Eyes Fusion to the graveyard, go into any one of your fusion monsters, boom, you get around the Red Eyes Fusion's negative effect. And also its effect will still trigger as if normal. So that's pretty nice as well, because normally if you'd play Red Eyes Fusion, you can't summon out more monsters, but if you go into like Verte Anaconda, you're still getting a monster because of Verte Anaconda, then you can still play the Red Eyes Fusion and get a fusion monster on board. Normally you wouldn't be able to do that. You can also send the Super Poly as well, so you can steal your opponent's monsters. So yeah, and also because it's a dark attribute, it works great with the Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. And then finally we have the 1 copy of Union Carrier. This guy sets up the Buster Buster Destruction, that Buster Tuner so well. So you can 2 monsters with the same type or attribute. It cannot be used as link material on the turn you link summon it, which is doesn't really matter. You can target 1 face-up monster you control, equip 1 monster to it from your hand or deck. That's why we're going to equip the. That's why you will equip the Dragon Buster, because you directly targeted your monster, you can get around the Buster's effect, and its effect will still trigger where your opponent cannot use monsters from the extra deck. The equipped monster will gain 1,000 attack. So if you play it on a Red Eyes Black Dragon, or say you equip it to Flare Mail, which is kind of a better target, has some protection, he's going to be up to 3,800 attack. Your opponent will not be able to special summon from the extra deck, and also they're going to burden themselves, and also Black Metal can't be destroyed by card effects. So you see what I mean? Like, it's absolutely broken, the combo. And if the crit monster, you cannot special summon monsters from with that equipped monster's name for the rest of the turn, but we're only running that 1 monster anyway, so it doesn't really matter. And that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed this deck. It's actually a very nice one. Actually, I do actually enjoy playing Red Eyes. It really puts your opponent off guard because they're not expecting to be like burnt to a crisp. You will see in the deck replays that I was playing against someone and then obviously it cut out. That is actually disrupting me recording a lot because the game will just keep cutting out randomly, which is absolutely stupid. I really do hate it. I hope they fix it soon. I am, of course, on my own, guys, so I am making decks as quickly as I can. You guys are requesting a lot of decks. I will get around to them eventually. I'm just sorry for the delay because obviously I've got to make a lot of decks. You guys are crazy. Keep me at work. Stay tuned for the deck replays to see what this deck is in action. And also, guys, wherever you are in the world, please remember, stay healthy, stay safe, take care, goodbye.